And now,
ladies and gentlemen,
please fasten your seatbelts.
Welcome to PreneurCast.
You know, business cards are being swapped, beers being drunk.
Can I say a nasty word? Can I say procrastination?
With Pete Williams and Tom Gosher.
how well did that go down?
We can talk about that entire thing in a very another rant and soapbox episode if we want to.
Visit us online at PreneurMarketing.com.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of PreneurCast with me, Dom Goucher. This is going to be another foundation episode. Now, there's been a few of these lately, and I'd like to just point out one of the reasons why that is. Pete and I have been working with our Platinum group this month to reflect with them on what we're doing in our business. And what we're doing in our business is planning for 2014. Now, it's November 2013, and we're already planning for 2014. That's because it's actually going to take some thinking through. You've got to do this with giving yourself enough time to actually put things in place and be ready to go. January is not a good time to be starting to plan the next year, the year ahead. You want to be ready in January to go. Now, Pete and I also like to take it easy in December. It's one of the things that, we afford ourselves that luxury because of the way that we set things up. So November is an ideal time to discuss in a relaxed manner what we're going to do. So I'm trying to encourage you to do that too by giving you these foundation episodes, the big thinking, really making you stand back and think about what it is you do and who it is you do it for. The last two foundations I did recently were exactly that. What do you do and who are your customers? Now, this is another episode in that vein. This week, I'm going to warn you, this is a pretty big thinking episode. I'm not going to, do any big thinking, but hopefully it's going to make you think a bit bigger. The last two episodes were really just what I feel were things that you needed to think about and be aware of, just in the way that you deal with your day-to-day stuff. But this one is a planning and forward-looking episode. So there's some big thinking involved. So the title of the episode, the thing I'm going to talk about, is vision, strategy, and tactics. Now, vision, strategy, and tactics are words you might hear. You may have heard them, depending on where you work, who you work for, the kind of people you hang around. You might hear these words a lot, or you might not hear them at all. If you do hear them, you might have your own interpretation. Certainly when people start talking about corporate vision, you really, start thinking that it's going to be a bit boring and silly and all the rest of that. And strategy and tactics, those words really do get mixed up and messed about. So I just want to really put forward our view of vision, strategy, tactics, what they mean, why you should use them, why you should think about them, and why they are different, distinct, and some really, really important distinctions about how you should deal with them, treat them, handle them, manage them. So let's start, first of all, with a dictionary definition of those three words: vision, strategy, tactics. Vision, a dictionary definition, there are lots of them, but a dictionary definition is the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. Okay, that's a dictionary definition of vision. So it's thinking big. It's having a plan. It's to do with the future. It's seeing where you're going. Now, if you've done any kind of planning, any kind of goal setting or whatever, you'll know that having a goal, having something you can visualize, having an idea of where you want to be, say in 12 months' time, gives you somewhere to aim for. If you don't have that, however, and a lot of people really, really don't have a clear idea of where they want to be in 12 months, then, well, you're probably not going to get there. It's that simple. It sounds really, really, really simple. And in fact, I could stop here. I could stop here and say, everybody, go and work out where you want to be in 12 months. If you work out where you want to be in 12 months, write it down somewhere and make sure you can see it and look at it every day, and just, Pete and I say this regularly, is whatever it is that you're doing right now going to get you there? Is it heading in that direction? If not, don't do it. There you go. Okay, folks, there you go. Go home. Knock off, stop listening, whatever, because that really is probably the most valuable thing you can do. and I'll come back to each of these words, and we'll talk about how you can actually use them. But vision is that thing, that the idea of what it is you want to achieve. Okay. And I'll put this in a specific context, because a lot of people don't do that either. A lot of people don't put these things in specific context. So I will come back to these words and give you some specific, concrete examples to get you moving with these. So, next dictionary definition. Strategy. Strategy can be defined as a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall aim. So, the strategy is your plan to get to your vision. Straightforward, hey? There you go. Now, strategy and tactics very often get mixed up, because the dictionary definition for tactic is an action or strategy carefully planned to achieve a specific end. Now, that doesn't really clearly differentiate itself from a strategy, except for strategy, it says long-term or overall, and tactic says specific. What you really need to think about these are the strategy is the big picture plan of the big steps that you're going to take, and the tactic is the actual method you're going to use to get along that path, each step, each major milestone, each little goal along the path along the strategy and to the vision. Okay. Now again, blah, 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 could have just said any words there, wouldn't mean anything. You've probably heard this 100 times and you go, that's nice. Yes, I need a vision. Yes, I need a strategy. Yes, I need to pick my tactics. Oh, look, somebody just messaged me on Facebook. Never mind. So I'm going to give you some concrete examples, something you can actually do in your business. Come up with these for you, picture them in your mind, be clear, and be clear of the pitfalls as well, because you will hear Pete and I talk about the pitfalls of focusing on tactics. But I want to take a step back and give you a really solid understanding of vision, strategy, and tactics, so you can really internalize that problem of focusing on tactics. So let's get back to this with concrete examples. So, one way of thinking about the vision for your business is, what is the fundamental part of your business? What are the fundamentals of your business? What do you do? Oh, hang on a minute. I've already done an episode on what do you do. That's a fundamental foundation episode. Maybe you should go listen to that. We have talked about this stuff, but an even better way to think about it, because it is, what do you do? And who do you do it for? So the two previous foundation episodes are, what do you do and who are your customers? But your vision can be expressed in the terms of what do you do and who do you do it for? In fact, if you remember a while ago, I've mentioned the book Built to Sell by Michael Port. And in that book, he gives you a pattern for an elevator pitch, which is, roughly speaking, I do this for these people. Okay, that can be your vision. There's nothing wrong with that. I am going to do this for these people. All right, just the broad strokes of what you do, what you're going to do, what it is that is, what is your business? You know, I am a heating engineer that services domestic clients. I specialize in repairing boilers. There you go. That is your vision. That's what you're going to focus on for the next year. You could be, I am a small business consultant. I help people get their businesses online and market their businesses online. There you go. I am a specialist trainer in this particular kind of software, and I train people through the use of video tutorials online. That's another example. That's your vision. Yeah. And you can, you know, I'm going to do this is a true vision. It's your long-term goal. But basically, you know, think of that. That's your vision. That's the overall business. That's the description of the business. When somebody comes to you, please don't upset Pete and say, I'm in internet marketing. That's not a vision. That's hopeless. That's not a business. It's not anything. Okay. Be as specific as you can be. All right. You may market a product or service using the internet. You may market your business using the internet, whatever. But what is that business? Yeah. Maybe you do market affiliate products using, online. You sell products with for affiliate payments online, whatever it is, but be specific. And it's really important because your vision will inform your strategy, how you do it. All right. So that's your vision. The vision is, you can see your vision as kind of your elevator pitch. Maybe if you're looking to improve your business or change your business, then your vision is your elevator pitch of where you want to be. Yeah. And you could even think of it as if you were going to a consultant. If you're going to bring a mentor on board or a consultant on board, and Pete and I really recommend this, and we've talked about this in a previous episode as well. If you're going to do that, the first thing the mentor or consultant's going to say to you is, how can I help? Yeah. Well, unless you bring on like a business analyst and somebody spends time asking you questions and investigating and looking for opportunities of growth, the easiest way to get a result in your business is to be able to say to somebody, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. But you need it to be, initially, you need that vision. Okay. And I'll come back to why when I talk about strategy and tactics. But it all starts with the vision, either what your business does or what you want it to do, where you want it to be. So sort that out. That's your broad strokes, your elevator pitch. The next step in his model is the strategy. And the strategy is the broad strokes of how you think you're going to run the business. Yeah. And you can include in that what you believe to be your major lead generation method, your major lead generation platform. Let me put it that way. Major lead generation platform. So are you going to be marketing the service online? Are you going to be using offline marketing? When we talk about 7 levers, we talk about the fact that different traffic sources can be different funnels. So you may need to define those more or less, but in general, most people will say, I'm going to, I might primarily market online, or I might primarily market offline, or whatever. And how you handle customers could be part of your vision as well. The overall idea for the business, So as we say, what again, 7 levers. What is your opt-in? What is your conversion? You can put all this is worth making a note of and making it, but it's not the initial thing you say to people, hey, I do this in this way, but in your own head, sit down and think it through. Yeah. Maybe use 7 levers to get this information down. This is what I use. This is my conversion strategy. Maybe I take phone calls. I send out quotations. I turn up and do online surveys. On-site surveys. I have an initial consultancy with my clients for free, whatever it is. And then what the actual product is, what you're going to give them, boiler servicing, new heating system installment, small business consultants, business improvement consultancy, online marketing consultancy, or delivery, even physical product delivery, whatever it might be. Those are all part of what your strategy is. Now, notice with this, I have been very careful. Okay. I have not mentioned anything specific. I have not mentioned a specific way of doing something, because specifics are not strategy. Strategy is the overall path, again, still at the broad strokes level of how you're going to achieve your vision. Okay. So I'm going to grow my business this year by investing in a new traffic source of online traffic, or I'm going to grow my business this year by investing in a new traffic source of offline traffic. That's about as specific as a strategy really needs to be. Okay. Anything more detailed than a strategy is a tactic. And I'm coming to tactics in a minute. So again, it's breaking down the strategy. The broad strokes of the strategy are things like the major areas of your business, which, at least looking at the top level of the 7 levers, you can look at the top level of the 7 levers as where are you going to get the leads or the traffic from? how are you going to convert those people, and what are you going to give them? What value are you going to deliver to them? Okay, and you can think about your strategy in that way. All right, and again, just like we tell you in the 7 levers to break things down, it helps you to be able to focus to start with on one channel, one funnel. So if you are going to invest in online marketing, then you're going to possibly convert them, or you're definitely going to in some way get them to opt in, possibly, probably, with a website. But you might not. You might market online, promote online, but the goal is to actually get them to call a phone number. And so you're converting people by speaking to them, or getting your call center to speak to them, or your reception staff, or whatever it might be. And similarly, the thing you deliver that is of value is a big chunk of stuff, and it could be physical product, it could be digital product, it could be service, it could be manual labor service or consulting service, professional services, whatever those things. Okay, but again, this model is not specific to any kind of business. It applies to every kind of business, and everybody can write something under each of these headings. So the last thing that we're looking at is tactics, and it's tactics that usually will stuff you up. It's tactics that actually cause the most problems, in our opinion. And that's because people get bogged down in tactics. They also get distracted by tactics. They panic because they can't implement tactics. Yeah? But with a strong vision and strong strategy, really tactics are just transient things to try. And if they don't work for you, or you can't do it, well, don't do it. Yeah? But tactics are what most people will try and sell you. Tactics are things like, from a strategy point of view, you need leads. You need to generate traffic. So the tactics for those might be using Google AdWords, using Facebook ads, using the yellow pages. They're all traffic or lead generation tactics. Direct mail is a tactic. Sending out, more specific tactic is sending out full color printed customized postcards. That's a tactic. Now, the problem with tactics is that they can be very, very industry specific, customer base specific, demographic specific, niche specific. They can be so everything specific that unless the person telling you that it works is in your business, in your industry, talking to your customers with your product base, etc., then you're never going to know if it's going to work, which is where a lot of the problems with tactics come from. You try and implement a tactic because somebody says it's working. This works. This really works. And people do it all the time. You'll hear it. This really works. I got this amazing conversion. I did this great thing and da-da-da. It's really easy, blah, blah, blah. And the trouble starts there. Okay? Which, going back to, what do you do and who are your customers? Yeah? What do you do is going to inform, looking at it internally will inform the vision and the strategy. But who are your customers will inform a lot of your tactics. Yeah. And it's, again, one of those things we talked again about frameworks, in an earlier episode. Frameworks are really important for evaluating tactics. Is this tactic going to get me the result I want against my strategy for my customers? Yeah. And we talk about different frameworks for evaluating the tactics. So examples of tactics, I've already given you some for leads or traffic generation. You might choose AdWords, Facebook ads, Yellow Pages. They're all leads. You could run radio adverts. You could run print adverts. They are all lead generation tactics, which may or may not work in your industry. Okay. But just, again, I will remind you, because you will hear this time and time again. This is working like gangbusters. It converts like, I get thousands of visitors, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't really matter unless you evaluate it in the right context. That's why we say tactics are dangerous and tactics are distracting. Tactics are the shiny. Tactics are the silver bullet, of which there is not a silver bullet. No one silver bullet exists. There might be a silver bullet in your industry, for your client base, whatever. I'm going to just stop on that point. More examples, more real world stuff that you can apply. In conversion, tactics for conversion. Now, in the online world, everybody has been saying for the last 2 years at an increasing pace, video converts. Okay, video converts in a particular context. And yes, it does. If you're in the right business, doing the right kind of thing, it converts. And in fact, you know what? It's quite a broad range of businesses and niches and markets and customer bases that video will convert for. But I can tell you that there are also a lot of markets and customer bases where video is a waste of time. It just doesn't work. And there are also certain kinds of video that are more effective than others. And again, that is not an across-the-board thing. Similarly, what we call a long-form sales letter on a website, which you may have seen if you've ever tried to buy anything from anybody. Before video became popular, you tended to have to go to these websites with a one page that was just really long. And then after the really long bit, right down the bottom, maybe, possibly, after reading some more testimonials and some other stuff, maybe there's a button that says you can buy something. And if you're really lucky, it even tells you the price before you click the button. Now, depending on who you are, your perspective on the world, etc., they are either really annoying or they're okay. And you don't know for your customer base until you try it. It's a tactic. And historically, by the way, they worked. So many people had them because they worked. That's what you will find in the world is, if a lot of people are doing it in business, it probably works. Okay? And the bigger the company and the more money they are spending on doing it, the more it's quite probable that it works for them. But be aware it's in a context, in a perspective, with a certain group of clients, etc. Know your client so that you know which one is going to work. But going to not an online service or not an online business, maybe you need to talk to people. Maybe people need to talk to you. It's a consultative sale. Okay. So maybe you take telephone calls and that's a tactic. Okay. Some people will read a list of bullet points on a website, click a button and hand money over. Don't need to talk to anybody. But I'm sure that somebody who's trying to tell you that consulting calls work will tell you that consulting calls convert better than long form sales letters, short order forms, video, and all the rest of that. And in a certain set of parameters, it does. But know your clients, choose your tactics. But those three, video, long form sales letter, consulting calls, they are all conversion tactics. No one will definitely work. No one will definitely not work. Okay. And finally, for an example of value delivery, the kind of thing you can deliver. All right. It really doesn't actually matter what business you're in. You can deliver value in an infinite number of ways. But pick one. Yeah. And this is in each one of these layers, lead or traffic generation, the conversion engine, and the value delivery. Pete and I see so many people go through the same process, which is to just try everything all at once. So, for example, in delivery, you could, from an information point of view, produce an ebook. That's popular right now. Hey, everybody's telling you to produce an ebook. Great. Okay. Everybody's having success producing ebooks and selling ebooks. Okay, fine. But also people having success with membership sites. Okay. This is still in the online world. People are having success with what we call drop shipping, which is where you take the order, but another company ships the goods, takes the money, ships the goods, pays you the difference. That's working for some people. In the real world, physical services, as well as actually just turning up and delivering the service, which is one way of doing it, and a lot of people do that, you also have the option of subcontracting. And subcontracting is really popular in certain sectors in the real world, in physical businesses. the delivery might be a consulting session. It may be a face-to-face consulting session. It may be a telephone-based consulting session. It may even only be email-based. I know some very highly paid consultants, and all they do is exchange emails with their clients. They never physically speak to them. Okay, it's a totally asynchronous. Every one of those is a delivery tactic. Not just a delivery medium, but a delivery tactic with its pluses and minuses in your world. Okay? So, that is a real world and some concrete examples of where a vision, a strategy, and a tactic are absolutely distinctly different, and each one of them is important in your business. It's important to think it through. It's important to have them, have thought about them, and be aware of them. But the one that causes the most problems in our mind is the tactics, because that is the one that offers you so many options, and so many people are trying to sell you the new option and the shiny option, and there's so much distraction. As far as your vision is concerned, really, that's up to you. You need to sit down, you and the other people in your business or your partner or whoever it might be, sit down, beverage of your choice, etc., and work out this time next year, where do I want to be? That's it. That's vision. Off you go. You know? And how are you going to express that? And if it's I want help, I want to be from here to there and need help, then be able to express where your issues are. There you go. There's your vision. Strategy, either you or with the help of a consultant, a coach, a mentor, you come up with the broad strokes of how you're going to do that. Okay. So if it's a new business, then it probably is from the ground up. We are going to start by doing this for these people in this way. We're going to deliver this product, on this, maybe this mechanism, we're going to get our traffic from here. Okay. Or leads and etc. But when it comes to the tactics, really the best advice we can give is pick one. By all means, take advice. By all means, take advice, take input from people, look for people with experience in your field, but pick one intelligently by knowing who your customers are, where they go, where they look for information, in terms of, lead generation, things like that. You need to look at that. Older people are more likely to look in yellow pages than online. Certain groups of people are more likely to be on Facebook than on Google, and more likely to trust something they see on Facebook than they are on Google. Don't use Twitter if nobody is even in your marketplace is even using Twitter. What is the point? Etc. Okay. So whatever anybody tells you is working right now, evaluate it in your own framework, in your own context. And stick with something. Try it. Give it a chance. But don't duff yourself up because you can't do it. Don't run your business into the ground spending money on a tactic. And this, I think, is probably the best place to close. Is that, all right? Spend your time and your effort working out what your vision is. Spend your time and your effort working out what your strategy will be, and look for help with those two first. But do not run yourself into the ground, cause excessive depression, or bankrupt yourself trying to implement a tactic, because it's just one option. Google AdWords is one source of online traffic. Facebook ads is another. One might work for you, one might not. Yellow Pages is still valid as a source of traffic. So is sending out mail shots, advertising in local newspapers and trade magazines. All these, there are so many options that if you can't do one or one isn't working, drop it. But don't spend everything you've got and all your time and effort trying to implement just a tactic. Please don't do that. Okay? That's really, really, really important. Okay, so hopefully that has given you some clarity now on vision, strategy, and tactics. We are, as I said, close to the end of the year, and now is a great time to start thinking at least about your vision and potentially about your strategy. And looking, if you haven't got either of these, for help, looking for somebody to talk to, whether it's a mentoring group, as we've talked about before, or an actual coach or consultant or mentor to work with, and maybe one to work with over the year to implement your strategy. come up with it and implement it. And maybe they can advise you on tactics and help you evaluate those tactics. But don't start 2014 without at least a vision and an idea of your strategy. Because one thing Pete and I don't want you to do is be here next year. Where we want you to be is next year, we want you to be where you want to be. We want you to decide where that is, and we want to be there, be here with you, give you the best advice we can give you, work with you, and get you where you want to be. So as soon as you work out where that is, you can start taking the first steps. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Again, this was a foundation episode. Normal programming will resume soon. Do let us know in the feedback, either on iTunes or on PreneurMarketing.com. Give us a comment below the blog post for this episode or in iTunes, as I say. You can also leave an audio note, which we really enjoy and like to get those audio notes. Let us know what you think about this episode and all the episodes in general. Let us know if you like the foundation episodes, if you're liking the interviews we do, or any other kind of content, if there's something you would like to. And if you've got a question, as people do, and as you know, send us an email to support@preneurgroup.com, and we will get back to you. Pete or I will answer you directly. We answer every email as soon as we possibly can, and we answer it personally, and hopefully we give you good feedback. We get great feedback from people that we email back, so we enjoy getting any kind of contact from you. Do drop us a line, and we'll see you next week.
You've been enjoying another fine episode of PreneurCast with Pete Williams and Dom Gocher. Make sure to hang out with the boys online at www.PreneurMarketing.com or drop them a line via PreneurCast@PreneurGroup.com.